I made a video a little bit ago where I shared some reporting from the New Republic about how Donald Trump was not aware that Medicaid cuts were in his big, nasty, bloated budget bill. And a number of Republicans initially weren't aware either because the bill was rushed through so quickly that most Republicans didn't have time to read the 900-page bill. And when I posted that video to YouTube especially, I got really, really angry people. People were pissed off at me in my comments. Folks were like, how naive and deluded can you be? Why would you believe the word of a liar? Just because Donald Trump said that he doesn't know what's in the bill. Of course he does. He's a mastermind. He's the evil genius. He's orchestrating. He knows everything. Of course he knows what's in that bill. And I was like, y'all, no, he really, really doesn't. First of all, I've been saying since the get-go that Donald Trump is a pathological liar and you should not believe anything that comes out of his mouth. You should not take it at face value. But at the same time, we have credible reporting from credible journalists that Donald Trump did not know the extent of what he was signing into law with his big, nasty, bloated bill. No, y'all, I am not being naive. I'm not believing Donald Trump, and I'm not telling other people to believe Donald Trump. And my husband just brought me a gin and tonic. Hang on. Yes, it's in a Scotch glass. Don't judge me. Okay. Let me read this comment and then explain what I was trying to get across in that video. No, I think it's weaponized incompetence. Saying that he doesn't know what's going on tricks us into believing that if only he knew, he would make a different choice. Good Lord, I hope nobody at this point in time thinks that Donald Trump, if only he knew, would make a choice for the good of the American people. No. I also don't really think it's weaponized incompetence in the way that is being described here. So it's not that he knows and he's pretending that he doesn't know, right? I know a lot of people said that in my comments. You guys know that Donald Trump can barely read, right? You know that he doesn't read the executive orders that ChatGPT or Russell Vogt write for him. He just signs them. So he doesn't know what's in them. We also have reporting from earlier in the year that Trump regularly cancels appointments with his advisors. He does not get briefed by his advisors. He's not interested in being informed from his advisors. He doesn't care about policy. He doesn't care about legislation. He doesn't care about what's in his executive orders. He doesn't care about the details at all. He is so lazy and so uninterested in all of those details. He just wants to go golfing. He just wants to consolidate his power. He just wants to grift. He doesn't really care about all of the minutia in the 900-page bill. You really think Donald Trump was going to read through what was in that bill? You really think he gives a shit about being informed about what the folks behind him are doing? The reason that I was wanting to share that reporting from the New Republic about how Trump didn't know what was in the Medicaid bill is because it's so important to understand that we are in a kakistocracy. It's so important to understand that the least competent and least qualified people are in charge. Donald Trump just likes to smash shit and make people suffer. And especially, I think one of the key points in that reporting was that for Donald Trump, that big, nasty, bloated budget bill, it wasn't the details of that bill that mattered. What mattered to him was that it was a loyalty test. And the Republicans all showed now that they are fully consolidated underneath him. They are all absolutely bowing down to him. The Republican Party is entirely a fascist party under the thumb of Donald Trump now. We have not seen any measurable willingness. Now, it's important to understand that there were Republicans who expressed concern. It's important to understand there were Republicans who are deeply unhappy about what's happening, but ultimately Trump is still able to control them through his threats, intimidation, especially threats to primary them. And also because they want to be seen as being good little followers of dear leader. That dynamic is really, really important to understand. What are the things that Donald Trump cares about? As a megalomaniac, what does he care about? He doesn't care about the details of policy. He doesn't want to be informed, not because he wants to have weaponized incompetence, right? But just because he doesn't give a shit. That's not how his narcissistic brain works. As long as he gets the outcome that he desires, if he stays in power, he avoids going to prison, he's able to increase his grift, he's able to enact his petty vengeance on people, he's able to make people suffer, which he gets entertainment value out of. He doesn't care about any of these other details. It's also crucially important to understand that there are very intelligent, very evil people. Again, I don't use the word evil very often. I find that I have used it a lot lately because I'm referencing people like Russell Vogt, like Stephen Miller, the folks who are behind Donald Trump and are the architects and orchestrators of much of the horrific things that are happening in this country. Donald Trump is not entirely a puppet. He's able to create a lot of chaos on his own. He is absolutely somebody that these folks back here let do bad things, right? They want to keep him happy and they want to let him feel that he has power. But ultimately, they know he doesn't care about the details, and therefore they can do whatever they want as long as they continue to pander to his ego, make him feel big and powerful and important, and let him grift off of all of us, right? So we do need to understand that it's not Trump all by himself. So many people in my comments want to make Trump seem far more intellectual, far more strategic, sophisticated, far more in control of what's happening than he actually is. He is still culpable for all of the horror that we're experiencing. Nobody is letting him off the hook. Nobody is saying he's not responsible. His incompetence does not make him not guilty for what's happening. But it's really important that we don't give him more power than he actually has. We don't give him more credit than he's due, and we don't forget about who's behind the scenes, right? We know that autocrats are rarely, and they're never in charge all by themselves. There's always a team of people behind them, both the sycophants who are just like, wanting to slobber all over his knob and prove their loyalty and adore him and worship him, right? All of the folks who think that Trump is a golden calf. But then there's also the folks who are using him. There's also the folks who have their own purposes, their own terrible plans that they want to enact, the Project 2025 Heritage Foundation folks. AIPAC, Israel, that have their own agenda and reasons they want to control the U.S., Russian influence, what their goals are behind the scenes. Also, corporate interest, the billionaires, how they want to make sure that the oligarchy is cemented and expanded in this country. It is all of that dynamic that is happening, which is why I felt it was so important to share that reporting from the New Republic and talk about it. Please, please, y'all, stop making Donald Trump seem more savvy and sophisticated than he actually is. Stop making it seem like he is writing all of this shit by himself. Stop making it seem like he is some grand architect. That's not how narcissists like him work. And also, you are failing to acknowledge the very, very dangerous people behind him who are crafting all of this legislation and policy and are wanting to, force their worldview on all of America. They are the ones who are wanting to force their oppressive, repressive ideals. They are the ones who want to take this country back decades, more than a century. They are the ones who are actively pushing the agenda. They're the ones whispering in Donald Trump's ear, right? And we cannot lose sight of that fact. It is simultaneously really important that we don't make Donald Trump into something more than he actually is, while also understanding the ways he's incompetent and insufficient and chaotic and impulsive are equally harmful and damaging. So no, I believe the reporting. I don't think that Donald Trump knew that there were going to be giant cuts to Medicaid until it was too late. He knew that it would be politically really bad, and he had to sign it anyway because he really found out the details of this bill the day before he had to sign it into law. And you think then, when it's in front of his desk after he said, like, this has to go through, this is the way that all of the Republicans show me that they're loyal, this is the way that I get all of this money that I want for ICE, this is the way that I implement all of these things that Russell Vought is telling me, like, we have to do, right? We know that Russell Vought actually went down onto the floor and talked with members of Congress who were trying to hold out. We know that he was down there threatening and intimidating and bullying them, just like Trump was. I mean, Trump didn't go down on the floor, but he called people, and he had people come meet with him personally. But once he found out the details, that he was like, oh shit, I didn't know this was in here. It's too late. He had to sign it. He got backed into a corner where he had to sign it. And he knows it's going to be politically a really bad scene. He has said multiple times that he's worried about the midterms now. And that is one of the reasons that Republicans very carefully made sure that many of the most devastating parts of this bill don't go into effect until after the midterms, because they don't want you to know that they, the Republican Party, the party of fascism, the party of complete and total support of Trump's horrible vision for America, that they are taking healthcare away from 17 million people, that they are gutting so many programs that keep people fed and alive in this country, in order to give giant tax breaks to the billionaires. They don't want you to know that until it's too late. So I hope that clears that up for folks. Nuance. It's important to understand the ways that Trump is not as smart as you think, but he is maybe more dangerous than you want to accept.